Hi, it's Lorna from Maritime UK here, and I'm joined by Kevin, who is going to talk to us about his career and how he started as an apprentice. Kevin, could you introduce yourself, please, and tell us who you work for and what your job title is?
Yeah, sure. Good morning, Laura. My name's Kevin Hunt. I'm a managing director working for a company named Scorpion Ribs Limited down in Hampshire.
Fantastic. Can I ask you what drew you to the sector?
Yeah, it's quite a story, but I'll keep it brief. My father worked in the dry dock in Southampton for many, many years, and he used to come home with all sorts of stories. He worked on refits on cruise ships like the QE2, the Canberra, so that kind of drew me into the industry. I'm one of 9 children. I have 3 brothers in this industry. Wow. As well, so they're boat builders as well. So it's kind of in the family blood.
It's in your blood. It's in your DNA.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
And can I ask about your entry point then? So what was your first job?
Well, my first job, I was very lucky. I managed to secure an apprenticeship for a company named the Maritime Workshop down in Gosport, and I trained and qualified as a wooden shipwright, so primarily repairing wooden yachts, which was a great passion of mine, along with building new yachts as well. So I was very, very lucky to have that opportunity.
Wow, exciting. And what's been the high point of your career?
I have to say that there have been many. One of the most memorable occasions was when I was an apprentice. The worshipful company of shipwrights used to sponsor a couple of apprentices per year to go on the Winston Churchill for a couple of weeks. So that was a real highlight. I was very green to sailing, and then all of a sudden I was thrown on board this Winston Churchill for 2 weeks, where we were climbing masts, dropping sails, putting sails, and that was on shifts. So you were 4 hours on, 4 hours off. So that was quite an eye-opener, but very memorable, I have to say.
I should say. And who's been the most important person or people in your career journey so far?
Well, I'd have to say on that, there have been many, but my parents really did help me out in my first year as an apprentice. I was living in Southampton at the time. My apprenticeship was in Gosport. I was paid, I think my first pay packet was £51 a week back in 1990, I think that was. So my parents bought me my first car, and they used to help me with fuel to enable to get me to work and back, which was quite important. So they really helped me behind the scenes, and that kind of drove me on to not let them down, but also to follow my passion and make sure I worked hard and qualified.
Fantastic. And lastly, what advice would you give your 16-year-old self if you were able to?
There's a couple of points that I'd just like to get across here. When you get the opportunity of being offered a position as an apprentice, please take that, by the horns and own it. There are not many positions available out there, so you're very lucky if you do manage to gain a position, within a company. A couple of other points I'd just like to mention. There is also a really important point, which I wish I kind of understood back at that age. Is try and understand the business principles. You've been given, a job. You're being paid to do that job, but from a business point of view, there's a lot of patience, a lot of time and effort that goes into young people to ensure that you get the best training. If you can understand a little bit of the basic principles, like how much it costs the business for you to be working there, because they don't make money out of you for the first sort of 2 or 3 years, I think you'd actually appreciate your position a little bit more. So, try and get as much information as you can.
That's impossible to learn in a classroom. You have to be there in the business, don't you?
You do, but there's, with the internet these days, you can sort of learn basic business principles. You're not going to be running the business from day one, but here I am 30 years later, responsible for running the business. So the more sort of background knowledge that you can gain with regards to how a business operates, it will just help you along the way, with regards to your training and your learning.
Fantastic. Well, thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate that. Thank you.